one of our favorites, and not just because he's decided to zoom in or quest for that, but it's the truth. He's the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Doug Pederson, back. How you doing, Coach? Good to see you.
Hey, doing great, guys. Doing great. Staying dry. We're indoors today, staying dry, watching it rain outside, but all good.
I bet.
All good.
Fantastic. So, what do you hope to accomplish with preseason games? Just 3 of them, figuring out who to play, who not to play. What's your plan in this day?
Yeah,
and age?
it's kind of a fine balance. You want your starters to get some time in these games to kind of feel the pressure of playing a little bit and getting some work done. But you really got to evaluate probably the majority and the bulk of your roster. And so that's what preseason's all about. We'll have a joint practice with Tampa Bay in week 2, and we're looking forward to that, getting them up here in Jacksonville. And those are a little more controlled and allow your starters to get some good work there. And then Atlanta in week 3 and let a lot of the young guys play and just see how they fill out the bottom part of your roster. And really, that's what camp is all about. You want to come out healthy and make sure you're ready to go for week 1.
Is Trevor going to play this week? You going to put him out there?
Yeah,
Okay.
Trevor will play. I like to play our starters in this first game. It's been a while since they've been out on the grass to feel the sort of the pressure of playing. And whether it's a series or 2, it's not long usually in this first one. And but yeah, he'll definitely play.
Do you talk to Trevor at all about his contract in any way, shape, or form? Expectation levels now raised clearly. Those things happen, and obviously it's a first-class problem literally for him to have. But do you have conversations with him about that, Coach?
I don't. I try to stay out of it. I just want to focus on the football side and what we do on the grass. And so I just let, and I think Trevor's the same way. I think he doesn't want to talk about it when it was going on, and just let the sort of the powers to be, handle all the particulars and let us focus on football. So I don't get involved with that.
So not at all. Like, the guy signs for $55 million a year, and you don't even make a little comment, little broadside, anything like that?
Well,
Nothing like that?
You want him to maybe, okay, great example, right? Great example. I kind of ribbed him a little bit about our American Century travel plans out to Lake Tahoe this summer. And I had a chance to, my family, go out there and fly. And I told him he could fly private if he wanted to, but he didn't spring for the extra dollars to fly private. And he could have afforded the whole plane. I mean, he could have done that.
And yeah, so how does he respond to that? With a laugh, or does
he just chuckles and says, "I'll fly commercial." And sure enough, he gets to Lake Tahoe. His golf clubs are lost. His luggage is lost. And, it might have paid off for him to maybe charter a flight.
Life lessons, right, Doug? Life lessons.
Live and learn. The youth of America. Live and learn. Live and learn.
One thing you could do is fly the coach and his entire family nice and private. No, you got to be a man of the people, and you lose your clubs. You know what I mean?
You lose your clubs. That's it. And you got a pregnant wife that's out there flying. And, you're flying cross country. You're flying from Jacksonville to Reno, and you lose your stuff. I mean, come on, Trevor.
Sometimes life has to teach lessons that even coaches cannot deliver. You know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh,
right.
That's funny. Although, just as an aside here, then we were talking to Steve Young on the practice screen. He was getting set to play with you the other day.
Yeah.
So what's that like? You and Steve Young out there on a golf course, man. What is that like?
I tell you, I've had a chance to now the last couple of years to play with Steve out there, and it's so much fun to talk to him and pick his brain, and just to kind of get his sort of side of the quarterback position, in today's game, and how it's changed so much from when he played. And listen, he was one of those mobile athletic guys too, much like Trevor. I mean, he could run around and make plays with his legs, and I like talking to him and just kind of, picking his brain on his mental process, his preparation, how he prepared during the week, and just, the study and how that translates today, and just so much fun, and enjoy the time with him.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything in particular you want to share that he told you that where you're like, okay, that's pretty cool? You got something in particular? Anything in general?
Nothing really that was shattering, but at the same time, I think when you're talking about Steve Young, I also had a chance to play with John Elway out there, and you listen to these guys, and we grew up in in a generation where, the game was different. The quarterback position was different. You probably had more pocket passers and, reading defenses and coverages, and not that hasn't changed, but, talking to Steve, just listening to how the quarterbacks are being developed, today, and compared to maybe when he was, it's a different animal. You're talking about RPOs. You're talking about, mobile quarterbacks. You're talking about guys that, you look at Josh Allen, a big physical guy, and Trevor's a bigger guy that is athletic. And it's just interesting to listen to him and how these quarterbacks are being developed with a different style of game today. And obviously the rules are protecting quarterbacks a little bit more. And it's always interesting to hear him and his perspective on that, and how we're protecting the quarterback more and more in a passing league. And he'd always say that he would play probably 10 more years if he got the same protection that they're getting today. So, but always fun to great time catching up with him.
I got Doug Pederson, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, here on the Rich Eisen Show. So much made of the rookie class and wide receiver group. You dipped into that pool as well, I guess, to use a Jaguar phrase right there. Brian Thomas, how's he looking? How effective can he be year one, do you think, week one even for you, Coach?
Yeah, Brian is just a great person. Number one, he's quiet, and we're trying to pull that out of him, but he's done a great job. He's really picked up our offense. Chad Hall's done a nice job just coaching him and getting him prepared and ready. And the speed is real, and that's something that we lost Calvin Ridley in the offseason. That was our speed element, but we feel like we got that back now in Brian Thomas. And just getting him caught up with Trevor, really just getting on the same page and working out some timing and some details in practice, and that's what training camp is all about. And these preseason games, opportunities to potentially get a couple targets his way and see what he can do. But we've got some time to get ready, and we're excited where Brian is currently and where he's headed, and the potential that he has to add another element to our offense.
Yeah, and you added a bunch to that wide receiver room. Obviously, Gabe Davis being another. It's just the reps, right? That's basically it? Just to get as many reps as you possibly can. Now, that's another reason why you're probably playing guys in the preseason, is to get that out there with Gabe too, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right, Rich. I mean, there's timing in the passing game. There's timing, and it's just something that just doesn't come overnight. You got to spend time on the grass and in these games, and really develop that rapport. It's about being on the quarterback's timing, obviously, and getting Brian in that position, getting Gabe in that position. Christian and Evan Ingram obviously have that feel, having worked with Trevor now the last couple of seasons. So, Gabe but he's a veteran player. He understands how to play and how to do that. And Gabe's the type of guy too that you can move around, smart enough to play, both outside positions. You can move him inside because he's big and physical. So the biggest thing is just making sure we get enough time with Trevor and the preparation there.
I mean, you mentioned Christian Kirk, and again, last fall, being in the production meetings with you and your team in London, and I look forward to doing that again when you're taking on the Bears in a few weeks. I couldn't help but be impressed by the relationship Christian Kirk has with Trevor, and a lot made about what happened with your team last year. You were in position of being a 1 seed, and then obviously the last few weeks didn't go your way. Lawrence was banged up, but Christian Kirk being out, to me, is the one that I keep pointing to. And I'm wondering what you would say about that relationship and how crucial it is for your offense, Coach.
Yeah, Christian, got injured early in that game.
Same game,
against Cincinnati, here in Jacksonville, and then missed the last 5 weeks. And that is as quarterbacks and receivers who spent time together, there's a connection there that goes beyond just the football field. And so we definitely miss Christian. It was a big part of our offense, last year. And it just kind of boiled down to Calvin, and really, Zay Jones was injured as well. He was fighting a knee, and It was just it was a struggle for us offensively, and we didn't do the things that we needed to do. And you mentioned Trevor. Trevor was injured at the end of the season, but look, those are all, those are excuses, right? And we try not to make them. We don't like to make excuses, but we're better. Christian's healthy. Trevor's healthy. We're looking forward to this year, but Christian obviously is a big part of the offense.
And just quickly defensively, I guess we should spend as much time as you'd like. We had the artist formerly known as Josh Allen here, now Josh Hines-Allen. And I mean, his desire to be great. Again, I picked that up in our meetings with him in London, and just listening to him here, sitting in this chair to my right, I'm wondering where it's just so beyond impressive. Where does he rank amongst the defensive players you've been around? Player, coach? I'll give you the floor on that, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, I can go all the way back to my playing days in Green Bay, having played with Reggie White. I mean, he's obviously that's high high class, high character, high, defensive end type positions. But I think Josh is still learning. I think Josh is still growing as a player, only in year 5 and beyond. And I think for him, he wants to be great, just like Reggie did, just like, I think about, the time I spent with him and how I'm thinking about Reggie now led our teams in Green Bay, and think about how Josh does that here, and how he's around his guys. And just, Josh, one of the things that I appreciate about Josh too is he does take time in the off season. He goes away, he trains, away from Jacksonville. But when he comes back in the right frame of mind. He's physically ready to go. And probably more impressive for me is the maturity and how, mentally ready to go he is, and how he cares so much about this football team, about this organization, the franchise, the people here in Jacksonville. And yet he's one of those guys that practices every single day. That's the same way Reggie was. Reggie was the same, type of player. He practiced every single day. He practiced hurt. Josh does the same thing. And he had a heck of a year last year, and we just got to capitalize and build off of that. And I think the new scheme that Ryan Nielsen's bringing is going to help him. And just looking forward to him just cutting it loose this season and seeing where it can go.
That's the highest praise you can give, man. Oh my goodness, that name, Reggie White. I mean, that's the end all. That's the end all be all. So would Reggie have traveled with his own hyperbaric chamber if he could back in the day, Doug?
Probably not. Probably not back in the day. No, I don't know if they were invented back then. But but no. Yeah, I tell you though, Josh does everything he can to stay healthy. That's the one thing I appreciate about him.
Yeah, for sure. 2 more for you before I let you go into your rainy Tuesday. What's your opinion on the new kickoff rule, and how do you think it's going to work? We've already heard from some other head coaches where Sean McVay says it kind of looks weird to him, and a lot of coaches aren't showing their hand in preseason, or at least aren't going to expect it to. Sean Payton thinks that the league should tweak the rule to place the ball in the 35 if it's a touchback, that the 30 is not appreciably too much real estate for a coach like yourself to give up rather than risk a quick pop through a line and a return. What are your thoughts on it, Doug?
I kind of agree with all those statements. It is different. When I watched the Hall of Fame game, it is different. It's different for the fans. I'll tell you this, from an excitement standpoint, from a game standpoint, I think it's going to bring back some excitement. I think it's one of the and it always has been, the kickoff and kickoff return has always been, one of the more exciting plays in football. One of the greatest return men, just went into the Hall of Fame in Devin. And, guys like that are going to start making comebacks, so to speak, and in this league, because, the excitement, I think, of the return game is going to be back. I think that, kickers, we're going to experiment with different types of kicks. I think you're going to see some line drives. You can't really hang balls up anymore like you used to, but at the same time, I think the kickers are going to, experiment with it. It's going to be different. I'll be honest with you. It's going to be different. It's going to look a little strange, when we play Kansas City on Saturday and lining up. I know coaches aren't going to show their hand, right now, but at the same time, I think you still have to experiment with it, and maybe some of these joint practices in camp can lend some assistance with the two teams, maybe showing a little bit more, but who knows? I do think though that the excitement will come back, and you'll see more returns, bigger returns anyway. In our game.
Do you agree with Sean in the fact that somebody like yourself, late in the game, in a position where you're up, that the 30-yard line is like no problem, just kick it deep. We'll play defense here, and the 35 would make you think differently? Do you think?
I agree with that. I mean, now you're, if you're only up maybe 2 or 3 and a field goal ties or wins the game, I mean, those are all things you have to consider, right? And if you put the ball at the 35-yard line, now they only have to go, 25 to 30 yards potentially and now you're in field goal range with some of these kickers today. So it does change the strategy a little bit. But I do think, if a lot of balls are being returned for scores, you might see a few more touchbacks.
Interesting. All right. Before I let you go, how many draft rooms have you been in your career where you turn to the side and see a member of management wearing a neck brace like Tony Khan this past? Look at that right there. Look at that.
It's the only draft room that I've been in my time in the National Football League, player or coach, yes, where I've seen a member of the organization walk in with a neck brace.
Okay, so that's a first for you. All right. Did you turn on?
First.
Sorry?
I'll tell you though, it does show the toughness of Tony Khan. When you saw that clip and to see what we call it now, the TK driver. Is that what we're calling this thing? I mean, what is that move? I mean, this guy, tough as nails.
Yep. Right. TJ, do you want to, you're the Rich Eisen Show wrestling expert. What's a TK driver again?
Well, Coach, it's when you pick someone up in kind of an inverted pile driver, and then one of the young bucks got on the top rope, did a flip, took his weight and drove Tony's weight down as his brother held Tony upside down. Quite frankly, Coach, I'm surprised Tony's still with us today. I got to be honest with you. Is that devastating of a move?
I am. And listen, Tony's not a big guy.
No.
He's not a big guy. No. And these athletes, pretty good size to be able to do that. But
I figured Rich maybe
just get a neck brace. I mean, that's all he wore. It was just a neck brace. I mean, he could have been more seriously injured here.
I figured Tony might get some of the O linemen, maybe Josh Allen, to come and help him out. I've been waiting for that to happen.
Maybe so. And as a coach, I think you can respect that if you ask players to kind of fight through X, Y, and Z. The fact that Tony can come back from a TK driver so quickly and make sure that he's not missing an appointed round in the draft room is kudos to him, right?
Hey, kudos to him. Kudos to him. And Tony loves the draft too now. He loves the draft. That's something that he is not going to miss. So I'm impressed that he was there.
Yeah, and also he was a man of his word. He said that he would sign it for St. Jude and we would place it to auction. And he came on the show and said, "Keep it here. I'll sign it and I'll donate the $100,000 to St. Jude." And he did it. 100%.
No, that's awesome. That looks great right there. It's a perfect spot for it.
I think it's the only spot for it, quite frankly. Coach, thanks for the time. Appreciate you chopping it up for the 20 minutes here on a busy taking on the Chiefs in preseason. Greatly appreciate it. Look for more of my calls, and if not, I'll see you in London.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Anytime. That's Doug Pederson, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, talking neck braces, quarterbacks, contracts, and more.
Oh, my. Devastating.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.